Hello, everyone. I'm going to be talking about what changes I want to see in Ready or Not. Now, these things are going to be conceptual ideas. They're not necessarily just going to be fixes for the game, but they are also going to be like additions to the game. So like new items, for example, or new mechanics. And with that said, let's get right into it. Now, the first thing I would love to see is an addition to a lot of these items. So not only a actual usable item, but a passive item. Now, if you have heard of a game called Door Kickers, there is a type of item that allows you to carry extra grenades. And this is kind of what it looks like. Now, this is Door Kickers, and you'll see here that there is a very similar style loadout, generally speaking, compared to kind of Ready or Not. Now, you have your primary weapon, your secondary, your helmet, your night vision, your armor plates, which depending on what it is, rifle grade, whatever. And then you have your customization of, let's say, if you want to take smoke grenades, frag grenades, whatever, stingers, slap charges, and they have a specific amount in this game. Now, in the last section here, you actually have similar to something that would be comparable to Ready or Not's long tactical slot. So you have the breaching shotgun, you have dynamic hammer, bolt cutters, all this other stuff, kind of more related for this game. But I would love to see a lot of these items in actually Ready or Not. But past that, there is actual extra belts of grenades. So 3 extra smoke grenades, 3 extra frag grenades, 3 extra flashbangs, 3 extra, let's say this is comparable likely to C2 in Ready or Not. I would love to see these types of items. Why don't we have these types of items? It not only would it minimize the need for, let's say if you're not using a mirror gun or not using a shotgun, you could have extra grenades, because a lot of the time, whenever I am playing Ready or Not, especially if you're in a group of 5 and people who are, a little bit more tactically sound and we're doing it as a team, we're going to plan out our loadouts. And it's kind of hard to have a lot of cohesiveness because there's not many items. So unless you're going to be using a shield, there is the comparable grenade launcher, which shoots either flashbang, stingers, or gas grenades. But a lot of the time, pulling it out and shooting it, it's good, it's useful. Don't get me wrong. I think they're very strong items. But why not have it so you have a more passive thing that you just get an extra 3 grenades? You lose that long tactical slot for an extra 3 grenades. Maybe it's like you take that slot and you can choose to have 3 more points. So you can have, like, instead of having the default, say, for example, if you're wearing heavy armor, you have 11 slots for your items, weapons, armor. You have like your space for your grenades, your long tactical, your like C2, taser, all that kind of stuff, like your ammo for your pistol, for your primary, all that kind of stuff. All those points and how they're allocated. Why not just have an extra 3 points baseline on top of that? So if you want, you can take 3 extra magazines, 3 extra frag grenades, or not frag grenades, sorry, but any type of other grenade. So gas grenades, flash grenades, why not? That'd be super awesome. It would help the problem of the passiveness, because if you have a group of 5 people, unless they're going to take a shield with extra pistol ammo to be able to use that shield more effectively, maybe you run like 2 shields, or maybe you just don't want to run shields. It does offer more flexibility for anybody who doesn't want to like take out the long tactical, shoot it, reload it, put it away. It's very time consuming. And I think having like just a quote unquote extra grenade belt of whatever grenade or item you have. So for example, even like, C2 comparably, I think that would be a really awesome addition to the game. And it just more flexibility, more customization. Who doesn't love that? Now on to the next one. Now this is another game called Operator. It is a milsim, and this is a one thing that I would love to see added to Ready or Not. Now there is a window here. I had shot it out just now so I can climb through it, and that's what I want to see, is being able to climb and vault through basic windows or doors. Now this would be extremely helpful for Ready or Not, because there is this big issue of trying to climb over something or around something. You always have to take the long way. So if I wanted to climb in here, for example, let's say this was Ready or Not, I would actually have to go all the way over here to this door and open it to then come in here. Now, that's totally fine in terms of from a gameplay perspective, but why not have that extra little bit of, hey, flexibility, you can climb in here. And not only that, it would also make the game much more dynamic when entering certain missions. Now, there are quite a few missions that would actually really help. And here, I'm just going to show you a few examples to kind of like engage your mind and kind of see what I'm talking about and the true potential of how fun this could make this. Now, this is Valley of the Dolls. You probably have played this game. This is one of the most popular maps. Now, let's take a look at this window. Now, obviously, the only way into this actual area is going to be through the door. And a lot of the time, it's always going to be locked. But let's say, for example, I wanted to go through this window here. You can break the window, you can take out the targets, and you would be very easily be able to climb through here. There's no real issue with this. Now, this not would only open up a bunch of avenues for interesting tactical play, but also high risk, high reward, because obviously you are getting ground to better control an area. You're entering through various different locations, and it could really dramatically change how the game is played. Now, this would absolutely make the game way more interesting because there are actually a lot more of these examples, and I'm sure you can probably think of some yourself, where this could really make a large difference. So even something as simple like going through this window, making things more destructible, not necessarily to any crazy degree, but why can't I like walk through the blinds here? These blinds aren't too complicated, right? You can like push them away and you can walk through them without getting tangled up into them. There are quite a few examples of this. Sometimes it's like climbing over something, maybe, you know, like being able to sit up on here, take a tactical position, whatever. There are quite a few examples of this, like climbing onto this couch and looking over this edge, climbing onto this table to look over this window here. Like there's a lot of advantages to this tactical kind of simple, very simple clambering ability that you could really have a lot of fun with. And it just increases the replayability, the dynamic of the game, and it also really expands like that dynamic of tactical play, because not only that, it would help you go through a lot of the missions very differently. It would create a lot more variation and therefore a lot of replayability, as I said. And it's obviously going to open up a lot of avenues for interesting strategies and speedruns. Now, obviously on some maps, it's going to be less or more effective, but I would love to see that and see kind of where it goes and how it evolves. And moving on to the next one. Now, this is going to definitely be a strange one, but hear me out on this one. Now, when it comes to closed doors, we have this closed door here, and in police fashion, a lot of the time, you will have the police announcing themselves whenever they are entering a location. Now, what about we have the regular shout to make enemies comply, or suspects or civilians. Why not have a long press? You hold down the shout button. It can maybe even be a textual door command. You yell through the door. It makes the people through that area comply as if you were shouting at them. Because whenever you're shouting at the door, it's going to be less effective and they're not going to be able to hear it. Now, if we do this where it's like, hey, I'm going to yell, I'm going to hold the button down, the shout button. It's going to echo through this area. It's going to alert, number one, a lot of suspects. And number two, it's going to make any civilians in that area, if there are no suspects holding them hostage or in the vicinity, to demoralize them so that they can't respond. But if, let's say, for example, there's only civilians in this room that I'm about to enter. Let's say I enter this room and there's no civilians. And instead of me going to find every civilian, I think having a long press of a shout button to call them towards you or have them make noises. You're like, oh, hey, I'm over here, right? Not only would that create some very interesting dynamics in, for example, say the school shooter mission where there is, people taking over a school, like a college or whatever. Not only would it create more engagements where you are essentially thinking you're going to a civilian, they're calling out for help, and they already do this actually, but having it be player interacted is way more interesting and more dynamic. So for example, if this door is closed and I'm yelling at the door, it's not going to make the suspect really get down. They can and they might, but generally speaking, when I come through the door, they're probably not going to be surrendering. They need direct line of sight. So holding down a long shout, it's going to shout through the door. It's going to hit, oh, hey, I'm in here, like the civilian, right? And potentially even have them come to you. You can yell at them through the door. They're like, hey, unlock this door, unlock this door. So they'll go over to the door, they'll unlock it, and they'll open the door, right? This would only obviously be more important for missions where you don't want to go into locations and you're kind of more scared and you want to be more careful and cautious. But having a civilian come to you would be really awesome as long as they're not, as long as there's not like a suspect near them. that would basically disable that ability, but it would still allow them to call out. You would alert, of course, because you're yelling more loudly, other suspects who are enemies. But like having a cool system like that, and another really awesome bonus of this idea is that if you are looking and you don't have to do search and secure if you're not using AI, but you can also more easily find these civilians who are hiding, because of course, why is this game called Ready or Not? Because you're always looking for the last suspect or civilian at the end of the mission, and it takes like 10 minutes most of the time, right? Especially if you don't know the maps very well or the spawns, a lot of the times it's just going to take forever. And even if you do know the spawns, it's going to take a long time too anyway, because sometimes they might be like, they might surrender, but then they might be hiding really, really well in a corner, right? So it makes it very difficult. So having a long press shout, be like, announcing, that you're there, like the police, open up, we're here, blah, blah, blah. Are there any civilians inside? Who's, blah, blah, blah. Any kind of like voice line that would match that kind of concept, because that's kind of what they do in real life anyway, right? You're usually announcing yourself, because obviously you don't want a civilian who has a weapon to, accidentally shoot you, for example, if they are in trouble, for example, right? And that would also be another concept that I would love to explore. But anyway, moving on to the next one. Now, this is a common thing that will end up happening. We have a civilian here and they are in the hiding state. So if you were to bash them, sometimes they will and sometimes they won't actually respond. Now, of course, the reason why you'd want to bash a lot of these suspects or civilians who are hiding is because you want to remain quiet and stay quiet. Now, much like the long shout, as I call it, or the long press shout, which would be announcing yourself, why not have a quiet shout that allows you to yell at suspects quietly to get them up from this position, and then, of course, have them come to you, let's say from a distance. Say, for example, they are hiding and you can't interact with them per se, and they are from a distance and you don't want to give away your position or you don't want to move up. Why not have a quiet shout? Be like, hey, come here. Hey, get over here, right? Something like that or akin to that, allowing for better play. And this is a good example in this part, but a better example is Grease Palms whenever you are entering that kind of first area after you get through that first entrance and the second entrance, and then you have that kind of like area where there's 3 doorways that lead out into the main kind of packing facility or whatever you want to call it. It would allow you to yell at the target quietly, not announce and yell and scream to the whole room and everybody else, right? And make it so they get out of that state. And then, of course, they would get down, right? Obviously, depending on the compliance of the civilian, this can change depending on the, individual civilian. But generally speaking, having that kind of thing where there's going to be more compliant civilians and then there's going to be less compliant civilians. And obviously you can play around with that depending on what the civilian is, but the mechanic of just whispering quietly to a civilian who's close to you or near you or in your line of sight, but you don't want to yell, because you're not going to be like yelling here. And of course, like there's a vent here open and this whole room can hear you, for example, hypothetically. Like it's just going to be silly. You're not going to be doing that most of the time, right? Especially if you see it's a civilian and they're like, very clearly a civilian or doing something more, civilian like, less suspicious. Anyway, probably going to be it for the video. I might do a part 2 to this kind of concept. I do have a lot of other ideas I didn't go through. I don't want to make this video like 5 hours long, because I'm sure I could in a lot of ways, because I just have so many ideas for this game and how to improve it. So let me know what you guys think about the ideas I've given out so far and talked about. Do you agree with any of them? Do you feel like it's reasonable? What ideas do you have? Do you feel like they're like a lot of these ideas are good or bad? Tell me what you think. Gotta be respectful. But yeah, just keep it chill. Let me know what you think. And if you guys have ideas or something that maybe I didn't think about or didn't mention in the video, let me know what you guys would want added to this game aside from fixed AI. I know everyone's going to be like, fix the AI, fix the AI. We all know that. Everybody knows that. Everybody wants the AI fixed. Okay? Everybody agrees. Everybody wants the lasers fixed. We're not talking about the obvious things that are happening or whatever, right? We're not talking about the issues with how the suspects will take out the hostages super quickly as soon as you enter into that, the chicken place or whatever it's called, right? All that kind of stuff. We know there's issues with it. We're not talking about that. We're talking about additions to the game or slight fixes that no one is aware of or isn't super common. So let me know what you guys think about all of these ideas. Tell me your own ideas of what you think could be, and just maybe if you like one of my ideas and be like, oh, I like this idea, but I think it should be this way. It could be like this slightly different or whatever, right? Just tell me what you guys think in the comments. I'd be really curious to see, and I'd love to talk about it too. It's a very interesting concept, and I'd love talking about these types of things. And of course, if any any developers are watching and they want to talk to me about a lot of this stuff, because I have a billion ideas for this type of game, because I've been playing it for literally 1,000 hours of actual game time. No, I don't leave my game on, and I play it, and then when I'm not playing it, I log out. So I have 1,000 hours of actual gameplay. So I would love to talk to some developers if they have any interest in talking to me, maybe just for ideas and stuff. I'd love to do that. I'd love to be involved in any type of Void interactive related content as well, if that's open to any possibilities. Void interactive, let me know. I would love to participate in a lot of these things and kind of maybe give my feedback. I'd be really appreciated from me and the community. I'd love to try to improve and help where I can, and assist and give my opinions and thoughts about a lot of these things, because a lot of people will probably have very similar opinions that I have, especially since I've been playing for like 1,000 hours. I have a lot of opinions that I'd love to share, and maybe move this game into a more positive direction, and not positive direction, but you know what I mean, like a more, make the game better, right? We always want to make things better than they were yesterday, right? But anyway, that's going to be it for the video. As I said, leave a comment. Tell me what you guys think about this video, own thoughts, all that kind of stuff. But that is going to be it for the video. Thank you for watching, and have a good day.